State of California, Education Code, Title II, Elementary and Secondary Education, Division 4, Instruction and Services, Part 26, Attendance for Computing Apportionments, Chapter 2, Attendance, Maximum Credit, Minimum Day, Section 46100. The governing board of each district shall, subject to the provisions of this chapter, fix the length of the school day for the several grades and classes of the schools maintained by the district. Article 2, Kindergarten and Elementary Schools, Section 46110. No pupil in a kindergarten or in any grade of an elementary school shall be credited with more than 1 day of attendance in any calendar day, and nothing in this article shall be construed to the contrary. Section 46111, Subdivision A, Subsection 1. A pupil in a kindergarten shall not be kept in school in any day more than 4 hours excluding recesses, except for pupils in early primary programs as set forth in Chapter 8, commencing with Section 8970 of Part 6, and kindergarten pupils in expanded learning opportunity programs intended to supplement instructional time provided by a school district pursuant to Section 46120. Subsection 2. A pupil in a kindergarten in a school operating on a program of a multi-track, year-round scheduling pursuant to Subdivision A of Section 37670 may be kept in school on any day for 265 minutes of instruction, excluding recesses. Subdivision B. This section shall not apply to the Pasadena Unified School District or counties of the third class as determined by pursuant to Section 28024 of the Government Code as it read on January 1st, 1977. Subdivision C. This section shall not apply to the San Bernardino Unified School District with regard to any pupil of that district who is determined by the principal of the school in which that pupil is enrolled, pursuant to testing, teacher recommendation, or both, to be developmentally and academically suited for longer instructional day. Section 46112. The minimum school day in grades 1, 2, and 3 in elementary schools, except in opportunity schools, classes, or programs, is 230 minutes, except where the governing board of a school district has prescribed a shorter length for the school day because of lack of school facilities, which requires double sessions, in which case the minimum school day in such grades shall be 200 minutes. Section 46113. The minimum school day in grades 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in elementary schools and in special day and evening classes of an elementary school district, except in opportunity schools, classes, or programs, is 240 minutes. Section 46114, Subdivision A. The minimum school day in grades 1, 2, and 3 in elementary schools may be computed by determining the number of minutes of attendance in any 10 consecutive school days and dividing that number by 10. If the resulting quotient is 230 or more, the pupil shall be deemed to have complied with Section 46112, even if the number of minutes attended in any one school day is less than 230 minutes, but not less than 170. Subdivision B. The minimum school day in grades 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in elementary schools may be computed by determining the number of minutes of attendance in any 10 consecutive school days by dividing that number by 10. If the resulting quotient is 240 or more, the pupil shall be deemed to have complied with Section 46113, even if the number of minutes attended in one school day is less than 240, but not less than 180. Subdivision C. The minimum school day in kindergarten and elementary schools may be computed by determining the number of minutes of attendance in any 10 consecutive school days and dividing that number by 10. If the resulting quotient is 180 or more, pupils shall be deemed to have complied with Section 46117, even if the number of minutes attended in any one school day is less than 180, but not less than 60. No computation authorized by this section shall result in any increase in state apportionments. Section 46115. The minimum school day in kindergartens and in grades 1 to 8, inclusive in elementary schools, is exclusive of noon intermissions and except in kindergartens exclusive of recesses. Section 46117. The minimum school day for pupils in kindergartens is 180 minutes inclusive of recesses, and no units of average daily attendance shall be credited for attendance in kindergarten classes if the minimum school day of such classes is less than 180 minutes. Section 46118. A single session kindergarten class shall meet all of the following criteria. Subdivision A. The class is maintained for a minimum of 180 minutes per school day. Subdivision B. The kindergarten class teacher is assigned to only one session of kindergarten daily as a principal teacher. Subdivision C. The kindergarten teacher is a full-time certified employee. Subdivision D. The kindergarten teacher shall be available for assistance or assignment in the instructional program of the primary grades when not involved in the kindergarten program. Section 46119. The governing board of a school district which has fewer than 40 pupils enrolled in kindergarten classes may make application to the superintendent of public instruction requesting approval to maintain 2 kindergarten classes of 150 minutes each, inclusive of recesses, on the same day, which are taught by the same teacher. The average daily attendance for such classes shall be adjusted by a multiplication factor of 0.500. Section 46120, Subdivision A, Subsection 1. It is the intent of the legislature that all local educational agencies offer all unduplicated pupils in classroom-based instructional programs access to comprehensive after-school and intersessional expanded learning opportunities. Subsection 2. The Expanded Learning Opportunities Program is hereby established. Subdivision B, Subsection 1. Commencing with the 2021-2022 school year, local educational agencies that receive funds pursuant to Subdivision B shall offer to at least all unduplicated pupils in classroom-based instructional programs in kindergarten and grades 1 to 6 inclusive, and provide at least 50% of enrolled unduplicated pupils in classroom-based instructional programs in kindergarten and grades 1 to 6 inclusive, access to expanded learning opportunity programs. Funding received pursuant to this section for the 2021-2022 school year shall be expended to develop an expanded learning opportunity program or provide services in accordance with program requirements, commencing with the 2022-2023 school year as a condition of receipt of funds allocated pursuant to subparagraph A of paragraph 1 of Subdivision D. All local educational agencies shall offer all pupils in classroom-based instructional programs in kindergarten in grades 1 to 6 inclusive access to expanded learning opportunity programs and shall ensure access is provided to any pupil whose parent or guardian requests their replacement in a program. Expanded learning opportunity programs shall include all of the following. Subparagraph A. On school days, as described in Section 46100 and Sections 46110 to 46119, inclusive, and days on which school is taught for the purpose of meeting the 175 instructional day offering as described in Section 11960 of Title V of the California Code of Regulations. In person, before or after school, expanded learning opportunities, when added to daily instructional minutes, are no less than 9 hours of combined instructional time and expanded learning opportunities per instructional day. Subparagraph B. For at least 30 non-school days during intersessional periods, no less than 9 hours of in-person expanded learning opportunities per day. Subsection 2. Local educational agencies operating expanded learning opportunity programs pursuant to this section may operate a before-school component of a program, an after-school component of a program, or both, the before and after-school components of a program. On one or more multiple school sites, and shall comply with Subdivision C, D, and G of Section 8482.3, including the development of a program plan based on all of the following. Subparagraph A, the Department's guidance. Subparagraph B, Section 8482.6. Subparagraph C, paragraphs 1 to 9 inclusive, and paragraph 12 of Subdivision C of Section 8483.3. Subparagraph D, Section 8483.4, except that programs serving transitional kindergarten or kindergarten pupils shall maintain a pupil-to-staff member ratio of no more than 10:1. Subsection 3. Local educational agencies shall prioritize services provided pursuant to this section at school sites in the lowest income communities as determined by prior year percentages of pupils eligible for free and reduced price meals, while maximizing the number of schools and neighborhoods with expanded learning opportunity programs across their attendance area. Subsection 4. Local educational agencies may serve all pupils, including elementary, middle, and secondary school pupils, in expanded learning opportunity programs provided pursuant to this section. Subsection 5. Local educational agencies may charge pupil fees for expanded learning opportunity programs provided pursuant to this section, consistent with Section 8482.6. Subsection 6. Local educational agencies are encouraged to collaborate with community-based organizations and child care providers, especially those participating in state or federally subsidized child care programs, to maximize the number of expanded learning opportunities programs offered across their attendance area. Subsection 7. This program does not limit parent choice in choosing a care provider or program for their child outside the required instructional minutes provided during a school day. Pupil participation in an expanded learning opportunities program is optional. Children eligible for an expanded learning opportunities program may participate in and generate reimbursement for other state or federally subsidized child care programs pursuant to the statutes regulating those programs. Subdivision C. A local educational agency shall be subject to the audit conducted pursuant to Section 41020 to determine compliance with Subdivision B. Subdivision D. Subsection 1. The superintendent shall allocate funding appropriated in item 6100-110-001 of the Annual Budget Act, and in Subdivision F, if applicable, in the following manner. Subparagraph A. For local educational agencies with prior year local control funding formula unduplicated pupil percentage calculated pursuant to paragraph 5 of Subdivision B of Section 42238.02 of equal to or greater than 80% the amount of $1,170 per unit of the local educational agency's prior year second period reported kindergarten and grades 1 through 6 inclusive classroom-based average daily attendance multiplied by the local educational agency's unduplicated pupil percentage. Prior year average daily attendance and unduplicated pupil percentage shall be considered final as of the second principal apportionment for that fiscal year. Subparagraph B. For all other local educational agencies not receiving an allocation under subparagraph A, the amount of funds remaining from the portion appropriations in item 6100-110-0001 of the Annual Budget Act and Subdivision F, if applicable, after the amount allocated pursuant to subparagraph A shall be allocated on a per-unit basis of the local educational agency's prior year second period reported program kindergarten and grades 1 to 6 inclusive classroom-based average daily attendance multiplied by the local educational agency's unduplicated pupil percentage prior year average daily attendance and unduplicated pupil percentage shall be considered final as of the second principal apportionment for that fiscal year. Subsection 2. A local educational agency with prior year classroom-based average daily attendance in kindergarten and grades 1 to 6 inclusive shall not receive funding pursuant to paragraph 1 of less than $50,000. Subsection 3. Funds provided to a local educational agency pursuant to paragraph 1 shall be used to support pupil access to expanded learning opportunity programs. Subsection 4. A local educational agency receiving funding pursuant to subparagraph A of paragraph 1 shall be provided at least 3 years of funding pursuant to subparagraph A of paragraph 1 upon becoming eligible to receive funding pursuant to that subparagraph. A local educational agency that does not meet the requirements of subparagraph A of paragraph 1 for 4 consecutive years shall be eligible to receive funding pursuant to subparagraph 5. It is the intent of the legislature to increase rates for expanded learning opportunities in future years to $2,500 per unduplicated pupil on a schedule to be determined each year in the Annual Budget Act pursuant to the availability of funds, prioritizing increases based on the local control funding formula. Unduplicated pupil percentages calculated pursuant to paragraph 5 of Subdivision B of Section 42238.02 for local educational agencies. Paragraph 6. I'm calling these by the wrong names. I do apologize, California. Maybe you should fix that. Anywho, paragraph 6. The superintendent shall proportionately reduce the amount of funding allocated pursuant to this section for a charter school that has ceased operation during the school year. The school was actually taught in the charter school on fewer than 175 calendar days that school year. The reduction shall be commensurate to the number of days that the charter school failed to operate due to closure. Paragraph 7. For the 2021-2022 fiscal year only, a school district or charter school may expend the funds received pursuant to this subdivision from the 2021-2022 fiscal year to the 2022-2023 fiscal year inclusive. Subdivision E. For purposes of this section, the following definitions apply. Paragraph 1. Expanded learning opportunities has the same meaning as expanding learning is defined in section 8482.1. Expanding learning opportunities does not mean an extension of instructional time, but rather opportunities to engage pupils in enrichment, play, nutrition, and other developmentally appropriate activities. Paragraph 2. Local educational agency means a school district or charter school, excluding a charter school established pursuant to section 47605.5. Paragraph 3. Unduplicated pupil has the same meaning as in section 42238.02. Subdivision F. For the 2021-2022 fiscal year, the sum of $754,021,000 is hereby appropriated from the general fund to the superintendent for allocation for the Expand Learning Opportunities Program in the manner and for the purpose set forth in this section. Subdivision D. For purposes of making the computations required by Section 8 of Article XVI of the California Constitution, the appropriation made by Subdivision F shall be deemed to be general fund revenues appropriated for school districts, as defined in Subdivision C of Section 41202 for the 2020-2021 fiscal year, and included within the total allocations to school districts and community college districts from general fund proceeds of taxes appropriated pursuant to Article XIIIB as defined in Subdivision E of Section 41202 for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Article 3. Junior High School and High School. Section 46140. No pupil in a high school other than a pupil enrolled in a regional occupational center or program, evening high school, continuation high school, or continuation education class shall be credited with more than 1 day of attendance on any calendar day, and nothing in this article shall be construed to the contrary. Section 46140.1 is the intent of the legislator that the term pupil in a vocational educational program occupationally organized and conducted under federal approval as used in Section 46140 as it read prior to the enactment of Chapter 1230 of the statutes of 1977 applies only to pupils in regional occupational programs and centers. Notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary, no funds appropriated by any act enacted prior to or after enactment of this section shall be deemed appropriate or available for expenditure or for purposes of claims for attendance of pupils in vocational education programs occupationally organized and conducted under the federal approval other than for attendance of pupils in regional occupational centers or programs arising from Section 46140 as it read prior to the enactment of Chapter 1230 of the statutes of 1977, except for the appropriations to fund the settlement agreement entered into March 4th, 1983 by and between the Fullerton Union High School District and the State Department of Education of the State of California, the Superintendent of Public Instruction of the State of California, and Local Assistance Bureau in connection with that action, otherwise known as Fullerton Union High School District et al. Versus Wilson Riles, Superintendent of Public Instruction et al., Orange County Superior Court number 33-46-93, and the settlement agreement entered into on March 4th, 1983 by and between Rowland Unified School District and the State Department of Education of the State of California, the Superintendent of Public Instruction of the State of California, and the Local Assistance Bureau in connection with that action, otherwise known as the Rowland Unified School District et al. Versus Wilson Riles, Superintendent of Public Instruction et al., Los Angeles Superior Court number C323905. Section 46140.5. Any school district that was credited with attendance of pupils pursuant to Section 46140 under a vocational educational program occupationally organized and conducted under federal approval in 1976 to 77, other than a regional occupational program or a regional occupational center may request the county superintendent of schools to increase the district-based revenue limit for fiscal year 1977 to 1978 and fiscal years thereafter by the amount of revenue received on account of such vocational education attendance in 1976 to 1977. The county superintendent, upon verification of such amounts, shall adjust the district's base revenue limit. As clarification of the intent of the law, a district which had not submitted attendance documents of pupils pursuant to Section 46140 under a vocational education program occupationally organized and conducted under federal approval in 1976 to 1977, other than a regional occupational program or regional occupational center at the time the attendance reports were originally due, shall not have the right at a later date to submit amended attendance documents to have credited this attendance. Section 46141. The minimum school day in a high school is 240 minutes, except in an evening high school, an early college high school, a middle college high school, a regional occupational center, an opportunity school, and in opportunity classes, a continuation high school, in continuation education classes, in late afternoon or Saturday occupationally organized vocational training programs conducted under a federally approved plan for vocational education, and for students enrolled in a work experience education program approved under the provisions of Article 7, commencing with Section 51760 of Chapter 5 of Part 28. Section 46142, Subdivision A. The minimum school day in any junior high school or high school described in Section 46141 may be computed by determining the number of minutes of attendance in any 2 consecutive school days, dividing that number by 2. If the resulting quotient is 240 or more, the pupil shall be determined to have complied with Section 46141, even if the number of minutes attended in any one school day is less than 240 but not less than 180. Subdivision B. No computation authorized by this section shall result in any increase in state apportionments. Section 46144. The minimum day in a special day or Saturday school vocational training program and for a pupil enrolled in a work experience education program approved under Article 7, commencing with Section 51760 of Chapter 5 of Part 28, except for when a pupil enrolled in a continuation school or class pursuant to Section 48402 is 4 periods totaling at least 180 minutes in duration, except that for a pupil in an approved work experience program who attends a school other than a continuation school or class in which the regularly scheduled period is greater than 60 minutes in length, the minimum day is 1 or more periods totaling at least 180 minutes in duration. Section 46144.5, Subdivision A. Notwithstanding any other law commencing with the 2008-2009 fiscal year, the minimum school day for a pupil concurrently enrolled in regular secondary school classes and classes operating pursuant to a joint powers agreement that became effective before January 1st, 2008 is 180 minutes. These regular secondary school classes constitute regular school classes for purposes of Section 46010.3. Subdivision B. For a pupil described in Subdivision A, the daily attendance shall be included as school district average daily attendance computed pursuant to Section 42238.05. Subdivision C. For purposes of computing attendance pursuant to Section 46300 or any other law, immediate supervision and control of pupils while attending classes pursuant to a joint powers agreement described in Subdivision A is deemed satisfied regardless of the school district employing the certified employee providing the supervision and control, provided the school district is a party to the joint powers agreement. Section 46145. Commencing with the first semester or quarter that begins after January 1st, 1984, pupils in grade 12 shall be enrolled in at least 5 courses each semester or the equivalent number of courses per quarter. If any pupil in grade 12 is required by medical prescription to attend school for less than 5 courses during the semester or the equivalent number of courses during the quarter, the average daily attendance allowed for that pupil's attendance shall bear the same proportion to 1 day of attendance as the number of courses in which the pupil is enrolled bears to 5 or the equivalent number for the quarter system. However, this requirement shall not apply to pupils enrolled in regional occupational programs, regional occupational centers, courses at accredited post-secondary educational institutions, independent study, special education programs where the pupil's individualized education program establishes a different number of courses, continuation education classes, work experience education programs approved under the provisions of Article 7 commencing with Section 51760 of Chapter 5 of Part 28 or any other course of study authorized by governing board which is equivalent to the approved high school course of study. Section 46146, Subdivision A. A day of attendance in grades 11 and 12 is 180 minutes of attendance if the pupil is also enrolled part-time in classes of the California State University or the University of California, for which academic credit will be provided upon satisfactory completion of enrolled courses. Subdivision B. A day of attendance for any pupil who is also a special part-time student enrolled in a community college under Article 1 commencing with Section 48800 of Chapter 5 of Part 27 and who will receive academic credit upon satisfactory completion of enrolled courses is 180 minutes of attendance. Subdivision C. Notwithstanding any other provisions of law, for purposes of computing the average daily attendance of a pupil described in Divisions A and Subdivision A or B, the 100-minute minimum school day permitted by this section shall be computed and reported as attendance for 3/4 of the full 240-minute minimum school day prescribed by Section 46141. Commencing with the 1995-1996 fiscal year, if a pupil described in Subdivision A or B is in attendance for more than 180 minutes, the average daily attendance of the pupil shall be computed and reported by determining the percentage of the full 240-minute minimum school day prescribed by Section 46141 that the pupil was in attendance at the school. No more than 1 full day of attendance may be reported for any pupil for any school day pursuant to this subdivision. Section 46146.5. Subdivision A. A day of attendance for a pupil enrolled in grade 11 or 12 at an early college high school or middle college high school is 180 minutes of attendance if the pupil is also enrolled part-time in courses of the California State University or the University of California, for which academic credit will be provided upon satisfactory completion of enrolled courses. Subdivision B. A day of attendance for a pupil enrolled in an early college high school or middle college high school who is also special part-time student enrolled in a community college under Article 1, commencing with Section 48800 of Chapter 5 of Part 27, and who will receive academic credit upon satisfactory completion of enrolled courses is 180 minutes of attendance. Subdivision C. A day of attendance for a pupil enrolled in an early college, high school, or middle college, high school who does not satisfy Subdivision A or B is 240 minutes of attendance. Subdivision D. For a charter school that is an early college, high school, or middle college, high school, for purposes of calculating classroom-based average daily attendance for classroom-based instruction apportionments, at least 80% of the instructional time offered by the charter school shall be at the school site, and the charter school shall require the attendance of a pupil enrolled in grade 11 or 12 for a minimum of 50% of the minimal instructional time required to be offered pursuant to paragraph 1 of Subdivision A of Section 47612.5 if the pupil is also enrolled part-time in courses of the California State University or the University of California, for which academic credit will be provided upon satisfactory completion of enrolled courses. Subdivision E. For a charter school that is an early college, high school, or middle college, high school, for purposes of calculating classroom-based average daily attendance for classroom-based instruction apportionments, at least 80% of the instruction time offered by the charter school shall be at the school site, and the charter school shall require the attendance of the pupil for a minimum of 50% of the minimum instructional time required to be offered pursuant to paragraph 1 of Subdivision A of Section 47612.5 if the pupil is also a special part-time student enrolled in a community college under Article 1 commencing with Section 48800 of Chapter 5 of Part 27 and who will receive academic credit upon satisfactory completion of enrolled courses. Subdivision F. For a pupil enrolled in a charter school that is an early college, high school, or middle high school, and who does not satisfy the attendance and enrollment requirements of Subdivision D or E, for purposes of calculating classroom-based average daily attendance for classroom-based instruction apportionments, at least 80% of the instructional time offered by the charter school shall be at the school site, and the charter school shall require the attendance of the pupil for a minimum of 67% of the minimum instructional time required to be offered pursuant to paragraph 1 of Subdivision A of Section 47612.5. Subdivision D. Subdivision G. For purposes of this section, middle college, high school is described in Section 11300, and early college, high school is described in Section 11302. Subdivision H. The requirements of this section shall be subject to annual audits, which shall be conducted pursuant to Section 41020. Section 46147. Notwithstanding the 180-minute minimum day requirement of Section 46144, the governing board of any school district may permit a 12th grade pupil in his or her last semester of or quarter, as the case may be, before graduation, who is enrolled in a work experience education program approved under the provisions of Article 7 commencing with Section 51760 of Chapter 5 of Part 28, and who will complete all of the requirements for graduation by attending high school except courses of physical education for less than 180 minutes each day to attend high school for less than a minimum of 180 minutes upon the written request of a parent or legal guardian or upon his or own request if the pupil is 18 years of age or over. If a pupil attends classes for less than 180 minutes per day pursuant to this section, the number of minutes actually attended per day shall be rounded down to the nearest multiple of 60. The average daily attendance allowed for the pupil's attendance shall bear the same proportion to 1 day of attendance as the number of minutes of attendance per day bears to 180. Section 46148, Subdivision A, Paragraph 1. The school day for high schools, including high schools operated as charter schools, shall begin no earlier than 8:30 a.m. Paragraph 2. The school day for middle schools, including middle schools operated as charter schools, shall begin no earlier than 8 a.m. Subdivision B. For purposes of this section, school day has the same meaning as defined by the school district or charter school for purposes of calculating average daily attendance in order to compute any apportionments of state funding. This section does not prohibit a school district or charter school from offering classes or activities to a limited number of pupils before the start of the school day that do not generate average daily attendance for purposes of computing any apportionments of state funding. Subdivision C. This section shall be implemented by middle schools and high schools no later than July 1st, 2022, or the date on which a school district's or charter school's respective collective bargaining agreement that is operative on January 1st, 2020 expires, whichever is later. Subdivision D. This section shall not apply to rural school districts. Subdivision E. The department is encouraged to post on its internet website available research on the impact of sleep deprivation on adolescents and the benefits of later school start time, and examples of successful strategies for managing the change to a later school start time, and to advise school districts and charter schools of this posting. Subdivision F. The legislature encourages school districts, charter schools, and community organizations to inform their communities, including parents, teenagers, educators, athletic coaches, and other stakeholders, about the health, safety, and education impact of sleep deprivation on middle and high school pupils, and the benefits of a later school start time, and to discuss local strategies to successfully implement the school start time. Give me a fucking break. Article 3.5, State High School Attendance Awards. Section 46150. It is the intent of the legislature that efforts by high school facility staff and students to improve student attendance at their schools be recognized. It is also the intent of the legislature that this recognition shall be provided through a state high school attendance awards program if feasible.